Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Stephen Perlin, and I'm at a little bit of a different location than you usually find me. I'm up in Vessel at the Copernic Observatory and Science Center because, as you may be aware, this coming Monday there's going to be a total solar eclipse. A very exciting event, not something that happens very often. And what happens during a solar eclipse is that's when the moon will pass directly between the Earth and the Sun, basically darkening the sky, and quite the celestial event, if you will. Not something, like I said, that happens very often. So one of the important things when observing this eclipse is safety. We want to protect those eyes, and joining me today is Dr. Ann Tang, Director of Occupational Medicine and Environmental, nope, I was going to say sciences, that's not correct, environmental medicine, oof, sorry about that, and Drew Desker, the Executive Director of the Observatory here. Thank you for joining me today, guys. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for coming up here. It's a great opportunity to reach out to the people here in the Southern Tier and get them to know a little bit more about what's happening on April 8th.
Absolutely. And Dr. Tang, always appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's nice to share time with the community.
All right, so let's get started because we have a lot of good information for you. Drew, talk to me about, I briefly talked about what a solar eclipse is. What is this event? Why does it happen? And how often does it happen? Why is it so exciting?
Well, yeah, so April 8th is will be a solar eclipse. It'll be a total solar eclipse for people in what's called the path of totality. However, here in the Southern Tier, we are not quite there. You would have to go further north into Syracuse or Geneva or Seneca Falls to be in totality. Here in Southern Tier, we will actually be covered about 97% at maximum coverage. But a total, as you mentioned earlier, an eclipse is basically the moon is coming between the Earth and the sun, and it's basically blocking the light of the sun. So it happens really probably about every year or two, but in different places. So the next time it'll happen will be, I think, in 2025, in going through Greenland, Iceland, and a little bit of Spain.
So it won't be quite the same as it is this
No,
year.
and you'd have to go to those locations to even see it.
Okay.
The next time it'll be in North America will actually be 20 years from now, but it's only going to be out in like Montana, Idaho. But in 2028, it'll be going across the entire continent of Australia. In fact, Sydney, Australia will be right on the center line. So
everybody start booking your hotels. You got to get ahead of that, right?
Exactly right. And so what we'll do up here at Copernic is we will be open for that. And people will be able to come up and utilize our resources. We'll have some solar filters on some of our scopes. We have a device called a heliostat that's here that will allow us to project the sun against the wall, and we'll have some other scopes with other viewing devices. So, and we'll have some fun with that.
Now talk to me, so it's the path to totality. So obviously like the big event I think is like 323 or something when it'll be the most visual for us, but it doesn't start then. It goes from a certain path before.
Right. So here in the Southern Tier, the moon will just begin to start to cover the sun right around 208, 209. Then at 324, we'll be at maximum coverage. And we'll, at that point here, as I said, we'll be at 97% coverage. So there'll be just this very thin crescent of sunlight. But again, here, even at that time, you still need to wear protective lenses. But then after 324, it'll then start to open back up again, and by 440, the moon will have completely transited across, and we'll be back to regular sunlight.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Obviously, it's important to know.
But also, let me also mention that, again, here in the Southern Tier, we would not see that darkness. You have to be in that path of totality.
Oh, okay.
It won't even hardly feel like it's even dimming because the sun is just so darn bright.
Okay, well, that's good to know for everybody. And obviously, this is an event that we're going to try and see, but not just wearing these for fun. It's important to be safe. So these type of glasses and other things, there are other things you can do to make sure that you are enjoying this event and doing it in a safe way, that you don't hurt your eyes or anything like that. That's where Dr. Tang comes in. Dr. Tang, talk to me about what could happen to your eyes if you look directly at it. What's so important about these glasses, and what type of glasses we should have? A lot of questions I just threw out there. Yeah, I was going to say.
So what we're concerned about is something called solar retinopathy, and essentially what we're looking for is blurriness or a spot blindness that we wouldn't know at the time of watching the eclipse. Sometimes some people will feel like they're having teary eyes, some people would have headaches, but for the most part, some people may not know they're hurting their eyes, and that's where we're concerned about, is saying to people, hey, your sunglasses is not going to work, naked eyes is not going to work. Really, you need to protect your eyes so that you don't have this kind of blurriness and spot blindness. That could be temporary, or some people it would be permanent and there is no treatment for it. But I'm going to throw it back to Drew on that one because he has all the cool glasses there.
All right, so Copernic has been selling these Eclipse glasses that are certified to be safe, and one side is sort of silvery on the inside. It's black, and this is really the only safe way to view. As you had mentioned, sunglasses will not cut it at all. Some people will use welding glasses, a welding helmet, and that's another possibility, but it's pretty heavy. So
and I don't think many people have that lying around.
Exactly. So the key there is just typically when you want to go to view them, you would if the sun is behind me as it is right here, I would put
Not
them
quite
on.
as bright, luckily.
Put them on, and then go ahead and take a look, and then you'll just see this orange disc in the sky. Then when you're done, you just sort of turn away. Then you can take them off. What we've been doing here at Copernic, is all the glasses that we sell, and if you purchase yours elsewhere, that's fine. You can do the same thing. Is put them in an envelope until you use them, and so when you're ready to use them, take them out. Look at the sun when you're taking a break. Put them back in the envelope because you really want these lenses to be completely pristine. You don't any scratches or pinholes. You can't use them any longer. Now, one of the other things that you'll see that the sun will look sort of small, as you're looking at it. What's really a very super danger is that if you just say, well, I got some binoculars. Let's take a look at them through the binoculars. It'll get me a little closer. And I'm going to show you what happens is, and I'm actually going to walk up here really closely if I could just for a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you can sort of see this, do you see those two pinholes? That happened instantaneously when you take binoculars and put them in front of the solar eclipse glasses. So you don't want to do that.
Yep, you're definitely seeing right through that.
Right, exactly. One thing that people do is if you take those glasses, people have asked about phones, and so what people have done is they've taken their cell phone, they put the solar eclipse lens or the film across the sensor, and then that's okay to do. Or you could even put it on the selfie side and put it in front of the camera. But again, you want to always protect your phone's camera sensor with the lens.
Well, that's good information.
And being an occupational medicine physician, I said, yeah, the welding is a great idea too, but make sure it's the right shading because we know shading 12 and 13 is what we're using usually for welding, but you're really looking for shade 14 and higher for that.
And I can attest, I put these on earlier, and they are blackout. You cannot really see anything at all. So if you were putting on your glasses and you can see through them, you probably should get a different pair. It doesn't sound like those are probably good ones.
Exactly. Now, what I would tell people, if you were so close to totality, it's not exactly once in a lifetime kind of a thing, but it certainly doesn't happen very often. So if you are thinking, if you have the time, try to get yourself into totality, because when that happens, it gets completely dark. In fact, you can literally see the sun's corona, that atmosphere that's around the sun. You then can see planets. All of the planets will actually be visible at night, during that time. The temperature will drop 10 or 15 degrees because the sun's not heating it up. Birds will roost. Streetlights will come on.
Oh, wow.
But then, if you're right on the center line of that path of totality, it might last 3.5 to 4 minutes, and then it'll phase out, and you're back to sunlight again.
And another thing that we wanted to touch on, I think a good safety point, and Dr. Tang, you and I were talking about this. You might be making plans to go watch it somewhere, but you got to be very careful about where you're watching it, correct?
Absolutely. Make sure you're not in the middle of the streets. Make sure you know your surroundings. You're not next to a fire, on a rooftop, or near water. Pretty much we want you to have some common sense and essentially don't get yourself in dangerous situations. But also if you're driving, making sure that the person isn't in the middle of the street and you're giving yourself enough time to travel just to make sure that we're all safe.
Yeah, we don't want to be driving and trying to look at the eclipse at the same time. Never a good recipe for disaster, if anything.
Exactly. So actually, Copernic, again, will be open on April 8th, and our doors will open at noontime. But our parking lot's pretty small, so that will be reserved purely for vehicles with handicap placards. Everyone else is going to have to park on Underwood Road on one side of the street. And back in 2017, we had 1,500 people here. So basically, I would say if you plan to come up here to experience it at Copernic, plan to walk and be prepared. Wear comfortable shoes. Bring something to drink. But again, arguably, you could just walk out of your house, look up wherever the sun is. That's where the eclipse is going to be.
All right, and we know we can see the sun from anywhere. Dr. Tang, any more tips you want to make sure that our audience is aware of?
I think we're set here.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate your time today. Go out and you can enjoy that eclipse on Monday. But again, be careful. Make sure you have the right glasses. Make sure you know where you are, and make sure you're aware of your surroundings. So once again, thank you for joining us. If you want more information on the eclipse, you can go to nyuhs.org. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.